Super League Basketball is levelling up British youths. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.
Added to Cassie. Takes it right to the middle and jams it home.
How did you, Cassie? Straight down the middle there.
Holden gives it off to Pesh with a throwdown. What a play from Marcus Pesh.
Steps back for three. Nails it! Jordan Johnson. Big shot after big shot.
Pesh. Anderson going back door. Anderson with the reverse.
Johnson almost comes up with the rebound. Smith with the spin. Smith to the finger hole. PJ Smith the two.
And Anderson comes away with the rebound. Ball into Brody, who throws it down with one hand. Flies off to the races. Cleary driving in for the jam. What a play by Kyan Cleary.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the National Basketball Performance Centre in Manchester, where the Bristol Flyers are in town and are in desperate need of a win. They've not won a league game since February. They've got to try and arrest this slide and get things going back in the right direction. For Manchester, well, the wins just keep on coming. They're up into second place in the standings now and looking to hold on to that high seeding. And they've got a familiar face back. DJ Mitchell returned on Friday night. He's got another home debut here this evening. It is Manchester basketball against the Bristol Flyers. Daniel Rowledge and Jason Swain with you. Jason, Manchester going in the right direction. Bristol needing to turn stuff around right now. Well, they've managed to overtake Cheshire in the standings, just trying to make up that extra game that they've yet to play and see if they can stay there. But for the Flyers, this run, they've just struggled to find some wins. They had a good performance on Friday night, particularly in the first half against London, but weren't able to see it through to the end. And that was the challenge for them. And the problem is, when you're losing games, it doesn't matter how well you play, you've got to find a way to win. Here are the results so far this weekend. We talked about that Flyers game. Manchester winning on the road, Surrey as well, and a huge win for Sheffield against Caledonia. They're at the half down in Surrey, a tight one there. Two more games coming up on DAZN this afternoon, starting at 4, London against Sheffield, and then Leicester going up to take on the Caledonia Gladiators. Well, earlier Jason caught up with a couple of the players, a couple of the key players from today's game to see what their thoughts were ahead of this contest.
You guys nearly upset London. You were up at the half and then it kind of got away from you, but a much needed win needed tonight. What's it going to take to beat Manchester?
I think we need a 40-minute performance. I think against London we had a 3-quarter performance. I think tonight if we put it together like that effort against London, we'll be fine tonight.
And Cam, you're definitely about winning. We saw you at Cheshire last year and then now at Bristol, and you do whatever it takes. I'm going to test you a little bit. You're top 10 in 3 categories in the league. Do you know what those are?
Steals, offensive rebound, assists.
Not bad. You're in steals, assists and rebounds, so you're doing a little bit of everything. But we spoke earlier about you having the ball in your hands a little bit. What is your style of play, Cam?
Kind of a gadget guy, whatever the team needs. I try to be one of the best defenders on the team. I try to be a facilitator for the team, best offensive rebounder. So whatever the team needs that night, that's the type of player I am.
And we know in sixth position that you really need a win tonight in going into the playoffs. Is there anyone you'd like to avoid going into those playoffs, or do you just need to get the best position you can do?
I think it's about us, not trying to avoid anybody. I feel like we've been fighting against us lately, so just playing the right basketball, Bristol basketball like we did at the beginning of the season, and get it rolling in the playoffs.
Well, we appreciate your time, Cam. Good luck for tonight. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Okay, PJ, a narrow win at Newcastle, a tough place to go on Friday night, but a really, really important win, do you feel, for the season?
Yeah, it's a big win. It's a solidified second place for us right now, but it's hard. Newcastle's a good team, hard place to play in, and hard to beat a team 2 times in a row in their place.
Well, speaking of good things in the year, you've just acquired DJ Mitchell, who's an excellent scorer, but you personally have really picked it up in this second half of the season. You must be pleased with how you're taking over right now.
Yeah, I just give credit to my teammates and then my coach for just letting me go out there and play my game, and then my teammates looking for me. But it's bigger than me. I'm just glad we going out there and executing and coming out with some wins.
Well, first of all, I admire the humbleness, PJ, but you have to really enjoy how you're playing, and you must do. You had 21 points on Friday night when it didn't look like you guys may have won. You're also shooting 41% from behind the three, which leaves you 5th. So you're kind of in a groove right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm just trying to be consistent, stacking days, and hopefully I can continue to do this for the rest of the season, and we'll see where it takes it.
Well, you do a good job at being humble, PJ. We respect that. A true point guard. Hopefully you'll get the win for Manchester for yourself tonight, and hopefully you'll make it well into the playoffs for you guys. And congrats already on a good season. Let's hope for Manchester basketball it's an even better one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, let's get into a couple of guys to watch. Every time you come here to Manchester, you sort of roll the dice on which of the backcourt might be at the 4. More often than not, it is Max Jones, though. He's been sensational all year, Jason.
Yeah, he's paced the team with 12 first-half points on Friday night, finished with 21, and did they need him? Looked like Manchester could lose that game, and he once again met fire with fire. He's done it at every game this season. He's only really had a couple of games where he's not been in full swing, and that's a credit to him. In his first season in Manchester, he's really took over the games, and 4th in scoring in the league with 17.9 points. It's been a pleasure to watch so far, Dan.
Yeah, he's a real offensive threat from anywhere on the floor. I mean, we think of him as a great shooter, but he can get to the basket as well, as we've seen in these clips.
Yeah, he can, and once he turns that corner, you're at his mercy, as you see the clips. Once you're on his hip, he dictates who wins in that situation.
At the other end of the floor, we picked out Zach Anderson to have a look. He's kind of a sort of under the radar almost on this team, but he's really important to what they do.
And he's a tough cover today, because if he's in the game against Matt Nicholson, he can step out and shoot. He played basketball in college at George Mason University, and it was always above 40% shooting from the 3. So he can spread the floor for him, and he can also mix it up inside. It's his first year as a pro. He's averaging 10.9 points in this season in the SLB, and as you can see the clips, he can also back you down and score like that.
Well, they need to find a little bit more of that, because, as I say, their struggles over recent weeks, and really disappointing performance last week at Leicester. I was at that game. For most of the game, they were down big. They fought back at the end, but it was too late. They were much better on Friday, but Coach Kapoulas was trying to find something here that will work for his team and get them back going in the right direction. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for the Bristol Flyers. And one thing Coach Kapoulas has done in the last couple of games is insert Cam Christon into the starting lineup. He remains in the starting lineup. Cam Holden coming off the bench, and they're going with McCormack for a bit more stretching the floor versus the inside presence of Brody.
Yeah, definitely surprised to see Cam Holden coming off the bench. He does a little bit of everything, but that starting 5 in terms of Joe Anderson and Will Yoakum, they play with energy, and that's what they need coming into this one. Winning and losing is a habit, and they're trying to break that here tonight, so the energy will do them the world of good in that starting 5.
We'll have a look at the Manchester lineup, and it took them a little while this season to find the the lineup that they work, but this seems to be the one that is the most consistent from a Manchester point of view, and it gives them lots of different options in this starting lineup, but also what they're able to bring off the bench.
Yeah, and what a luxury it is. Donovan Mitchell wearing the number 8 coming off the bench, Gabe Osaboyan, Kyle Carey, and you've got Jordan Johnson coming off the bench. They're good enough to start on any team in the league, so you know, let's not forget the starting 5. The bench is explosive at least.
While the Fives making their way out onto court ahead of this game, Manchester trying to give themselves the breathing space in the standings in second place. They have a game in hand on Cheshire. This is it. They both have the same number of wins coming into this game, so a chance to put a little gap between they and their Northwest rivals. And for Bristol, well, it's been a slippery slide down in recent weeks, and they're trying to get that going in the right direction. We're underway, and it is Manchester who get the opening tip.
Let's go, man, let's go.
Jones taking it to the rim, denied by Kristen, and that's out of bounds for a Bristol ball.
Really good block with his left hand, Cam Kristen, going kind of towards the bucket, and it comes off Max Jones. First stop for Bristol.
Here's Yoakum. Now Joe Anderson fires up from the free throw line and is good.
Well, it was his last option, Dan. He really tried to pass that basketball, and Nicholson didn't come out.
He obviously missed a fair chunk of those defeats in recent weeks. They really showed how much importance he has to this team. Nicholson in close, able to lay it in.
Could have been an and one. Really good catch from Nicholson. An even better pass from Max Jones. Manchester have their first bucket of this afternoon.
Joe Anderson goes the opposite way to the screen. Back to Zach Anderson. 5 on the clock as it goes up from McCormack. Friendly bounce is good for 3.
Well, McCormack 10th in three-point shooting in the league. Nails his first attempt. Friendly bounce here in Manchester.
Well, an aggressive hedge from McCormack is called for a foul. First foul of the game.
Yeah, you have to admire the defensive intensity of McCormack to step out there. I mean, guarding PJ Smith that far away from the basket is not usually good for your health.
No. Irvin to inbound. Does it one-handed, casual. Nice pass to Nicholson and on to Irvin. He almost never goes to the near side, he always goes reverse.
Yeah, I don't think he can make an easy layup. Zach Irvin always uses the rim to protect from the shot blocker, but what a nice dish by Matt Nicholson.
Joe Anderson, out to Zach Anderson. Yoakum flushed off the three-point line, gets it back out to Zach Anderson for 3, 2 early threes for the Flyers.
We spoke about it earlier, was a red-hot shooter coming out of George Mason University. He's able to stretch the floor, and that's the issue for Manchester tonight.
Nicholson, added to Cassie. Stumbling because he was tripped by Zach Anderson, so it'll be a sideline ball.
That was a tough one, Dan. You know, Tim Adedukasi not really going anywhere, but got his legs caught up with Anderson and ended up getting a foul in his way.
Smith. Jones fires up the 3, doesn't go. Irvin trying to save it, ends up in Kristen's hand. Asked an awful lot of McCormack there to chase that one down. It's a turnover.
Sure did. If you could reverse those players and have McCormack throw that to Kristen, it would have been a dunk, but just overcooked by Cam Kristen.
Manchester.
Jones calling the play. around the screen, drops it into Nicholson, loses out. Yoakum comes away with it. Zach Anderson now, driving baseline. McCormack absolutely wide open is Will Yoakum for a third three for the Flyers, and an early timeout for Coach Otten and the Manchester basketball team, trailing here because they've given up 3 threes.
Really unselfish play on the break there. Anderson was wide open, he turned it down, threw it to McCormack. McCormack was open for a little bit, but made the extra pass to Yoakum, and he was wide open and cashed in 11-4. Bristol will be very happy with that start.
Well, it is a different game if the threes go in, obviously, for this Flyers team, and they've gone in 3 attempts, 3 makes.
Yeah, it's an equal opportunities offense. Everyone gets to touch the basketball, and when it's popping around and fizzing, guys always seem to be more in rhythm when they can catch and shoot. So good unselfish basketball by the whole team of Bristol Flyers.
Well, there's only been 1 missed shot in the game so far, but because Bristol's shots have been all high value, that is why they lead by 7, and they wouldn't want to use the timeout this early on. Gabe Osaboyan was getting ready to come in anyway, and he has entered the game for the first time. But well, it's not quite changing the game plan, but it's tweaking it a little bit early on.
I think if you insert Gabe Osaboyan from what he's done in this previous last month, you know the game is going to change, usually in the favour of Manchester basketball. But we see Bristol come out and kind of a semi-press.
Jones gets it to Smith. Smith, little step away, jump shot, rims out, rebound McCormack. Joe Anderson down the lane, tosses it up, and Bristol are 5 of 5 from the floor.
Well, that was nice, and so far Coach Andreas Kapoulis' game plan is working very well, making guys shoot the ball in uncomfortable positions.
And they're also forcing Manchester into some early turnovers. That was nearly a 3rd turnover of the game. Yoakum couldn't quite snaffle it.
And the concerning thing, Dan, this is how Manchester started against Newcastle. They didn't really start very well, and that is concerning going towards the playoffs. They can't let teams get any daylight.
Well, there you go. Tim Adetukasi puts 3 on the board, the first triple of the game for Manchester. Anderson. Yoakum. Out to McCormack. Lost. Knocked loose by Osaboyan. Adetukasi running the floor, lays it home.
2 buckets in a row for number 22. First splashes the 3, and then he gets the steal and the layup. That's the energy that's needed for Manchester here as they started off down.
Look at the aggression from Osaboyan defensively. Really applying the pressure. Zach Anderson along the baseline. Round it comes to Yoakum looking for another 3. First missed shot of the game for Bristol. Smith to Jones for 3. Tipped down by Adetukasi. Knocked loose. Smith fires up the 3 and he hits. And suddenly it's down to 1.
How smooth was that by PJ Smith? Cam Christensen dove for that loose ball, and PJ Smith says, give me that, and knocks down a 3.
Oh, nice from Anderson to break through the defenders. Kristen open in the corner. Put back is good from McCormack.
How good was that from Joe Anderson to split the defense with the globetrotter move through his legs?
Yeah. Jones. Trying to back down, steps through. Irvin along the baseline. Osaboyan gives it to Jones, who gets it away and off the mark. Zach Anderson. Out to Kristen, opposite corner. Off the mark. Rebound, Yoakum. He tosses it back.
He can do a little bit of everything, plays at high energy and can rebound on the offensive glass.
Irving somehow squeezes that one through 2 defenders.
Wow, a corridor of uncertainty down, and he found the bucket somehow and some way.
Anderson just reaches McCormack, who runs into Ossaboy, who was stood there ready and waiting for the charge.
Has there been ever a triple-double with a guy, and this is a question for you, Dan, that has 10 offensive fouls?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but Gabe Ossaboy is that guy that could possibly get 5 or 6 of those today. He's always there in defensive position. As you see in the replay, if you ever get beat, Ossaboy has you back.
Well, there aren't too many times where players get double figures in fouls drawn. There was one here a couple of weeks ago when Leicester were in town. Flynn Ballman Rafe drew 12 fouls, but most of those were at the other end of the floor. He wasn't taking charges, put it that way. Here's Kristen. Step away 3, and he's missed his first 3 field goal attempts. Here's Mitchell, back in a Manchester shirt. Steps through, can't convert.
It was a nice move, nearly had his first home bucket of the season. Good move by DJ Mitchell.
Played well on Friday, DJ Mitchell, in his first game back. Didn't look like he'd not been with the team all year.
I loved his intent coming into the game, though, Dan. He didn't force anything. He just really played off everybody. And then in the fourth quarter, really asserted himself.
Well, Tim Adekasi is really asserting himself here in the first quarter. He's got 8 points already. In fact, I think they gave that as a 2, so it might be 7. Walsh gets it to Anderson, whose back foot hit the line. And it's going to be a Manchester ball.
Well, Joe Anderson proving that he is human, because whenever he's had the ball in his hands, something's good happens for Bristol. He's been really good so far, but the first turnover is probably the only chink in the armour we've seen so far. This is the luxury Manchester have. If you take away the ball from these point guards, it doesn't matter, because the big guys can handle the ball in the open court. Max Jones often moves the point. DJ Mitchell can bring the basketball over and run the offense. So it's really tough to take the ball out of anybody's hands.
Johnson off the mark. Mitchell with the offensive rebound, but loses it out of bounds.
You know, Mitchell on Friday, we talk about his scoring down the stretch, but he had 8 rebounds off the bench in a limited amount of time. And that's something else he gives you.
He has got great size. Here's Holden backing him down, short on that one, and there's a rebound for Mitchell. Johnson using the speed, and the foul will send him to the free throw line.
Well, difficult, Dan, to keep up with these guards. Joe Anderson, Jordan Johnson, and PJ Smith into the game. You can hear those sneakers squeak as they really go at each other.
Well, first 4 fouls of the game have been called against the Flyers. McCormack's on 2. Nobody as yet from Manchester committed a foul. That was the first one on Anderson, which is why Johnson's at the line.
You can see how important Joe Anderson is to the team. As soon as he picks up that first foul, Coach Andreas Kapoulis calms him down and gets him out of there. He don't want to pick up a second in this first quarter. He's so important to how the offense flows for Bristol.
And Manchester, who trail by as many as 9, have their first lead of the game. Brown. Holden. Just found Walsh in the corner. Walsh backing down Johnson. Off the glass, little short, tipped up in the air. Irving comes away with it. And Walsh commits the foul.
One of those fouls that the European game has given us over the years just to slow the break, but Evan Walsh on that last play, backing Jordan Johnson down, really did everything but score. One of those that he'd want back, Dan.
Well, they've called it unsportsmanlike against Evan Walsh. I wasn't sure about that. He's obviously not last man, so the fact he came in from the side doesn't matter. But the implication being there's no play on the ball or it's too aggressive. I'm not sure about that. It was right in front of us. I just thought that was a regular foul to stop the break.
Yeah, me too. It didn't seem like anything too much. We're going to get to see it again, and we'll give the referees the benefit of the doubt, but that can just be a collision play in the open court for me.
Well, Irvin unable to make the second free throw.
Johnson will have possession on the sideline.
14 on the shot clock. I'm not sure why it resets in that situation, because there would have been more than 14 when the foul was committed.
Yeah, that's what Jordan Johnson was alluding to the referee.
They've got to go quick, and they do. Mitchell inside for 2.
Wow, and DJ Mitchell already starting to get familiar with his role. Basically put the ball in the bucket.
Holden down the lane, high off the glass. Manchester in the open court, have numbers. Johnson behind the back to Jones. Still Max Jones.
Nice. That is nice. The poise of Max Jones there. Lost the basketball for a minute and then just said, I'm going to drive right to the basket. Smart play by Max.
Here's Walsh. Squeezes one in. They kind of needed that. Bristol offense has been hard to come by in recent moments. They've been stuck on 17 for about 4 minutes. Manchester had scored 11 in a row. Johnson ticking it right down, gets it away, and pulled off the rim by McCormack. Well, that started great for Bristol. They jumped out to a 9-point lead, but been all Manchester since then. And at the end of the first quarter, it is they who lead by 23 points to 19.
I think both teams will be happy. Bristol will be happy of the marker that they set in terms of the style of basketball they play, moving the ball and spreading the defense. And Manchester, as always, have responded well, and they're back into the game and in charge.
Well, they've definitely turned it up. When we look at the numbers here, it looks relatively even, but the interesting thing was Bristol made their first 5 shots of the game, so that means they are 3 of 11 since then, Jason.
Yeah, the worrying thing is when a team starts like that, if you're the opposing team, you think, oh, this team's going to play really well. However, you realise that if they start missing, we can get back into this one, and that's exactly what's happened for Manchester to be up.
And the other one on this is, it's not on this stats, is no fouls from Manchester in the whole of that first quarter. And in some ways, that allows you to be even more aggressive defensively because you've got fouls to play with as the game goes on.
It does, and it's a rarity that there's no fouls called within the first quarter. I'm sure Coach Andreas Kapoulis will be letting the referees know about that as this one goes on. If we get to half and there's only 1 and 2 called.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. We had a game earlier in the season where Leicester didn't commit a foul in the first half. Never mind the first quarter. That was against Caledonia. And Sheffield got pretty close to going through a quarter on Friday night without a foul. But Manchester, with the momentum here, Bristol need to recapture that early hot start here in the second quarter.
Cal Carey into the ball game, and it just shows the depth of this roster. We got to spoke to Coach Matthew Otten before the game, and I think he's done a really good job of finding who's playing well, because they have a lot of weapons coming off that bench and in the starting 5, Dan, would you agree?
Yeah, totally. He was very positive about the group as well. He was talking about how much he enjoyed working with them. It's not always easy when you get to this time of year. You get to April, it's been a long old slog, and the playoffs are still a few weeks away.
Yeah, guys a long way from home as well. Trying to get those last 4 or 5 games out of the system and look forward to the playoffs. And then, like you say, looking forward to getting home this summer.
Holden, cross court to Walsh. Long way into the shot fake. Inside to Brody with the hook off the mark. Brody didn't play at all in the first quarter. Here's Johnson looking for 3. Holden kicks it out. Walsh for 3 is fouled and will go to the line. The first foul of the game on Manchester basketball.
It is. And for me, Manchester have a different kind of test coming up here, Dan. They've got DJ Mitchell, who's an emphatic scorer. He's already proven that in his last season with Manchester. But someone is going to have to just back off a little bit. Now, who's that guy going to be? Max Jones, PJ Smith, and Jordan Johnson can score in bunches. But I very rarely do you see 4 players getting over 20 in a game. So that's going to have to be figured out. And like you say, at this point of the season, who's willing to just give a little bit for the win?
It's also, you haven't got much time to work it out either.
No.
I mean, he fit in really well on Friday, but there are going to be stress points around it all, you would imagine, because obviously he's a guy you want on court, so there's however many you give him 20 minutes, there's 20 minutes that were being used somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got 3 rebounds in this game. So, you know, he's so instrumental in a lot of parts of the game. I have an idea. Maybe spend some time with Gabe Osaboyan and he will take you through and tell you what's important, because that's a guy who'll do anything to win.
Yes, indeed. Well, it might be a few of his minutes, by the way, that are used. Here's Johnson zipping it out. And Mitchell couldn't quite corral the ball in time to get the shot away, and it's a shot clock violation.
Well, that basketball looked like a bar of soap there, Don, as Jordan Johnson spread it across to Mitchell. Just couldn't get his hands on it.
Holden drops it off to Brody, leaves it short under the pressure from Nicholson. Mitchell. It's a big screen. It's an illegal screen by Nicholson. The other interesting thing is we think, oh, he knows the club, he's coming back. But obviously he's a different coach. So he's got to relearn all of the plays and whatever. And it's that time of year where it becomes quite difficult to sort of get him up to speed. So it might be when he's on the floor, the playbook is dialed back a little bit.
Yeah.
And when he's off the floor, they can maybe open it up a little bit until he gets up to speed.
However, I think there is a beauty, as Kristen is off with the 3, there is a beauty of not knowing the playbook, because DJ Mitchell can score, I would say, in any system. Yeah. So all you have to do is say, forget the script, put the ball in his hands and let him do his thing.
There is that. Here's Smith. Out it's Cassie to the little fadeaway. Is short, rebound Holden. Holden finds Brown in the corner. His 3 is off the mark. Tipped out of bounds off Brody. It'll be a Manchester ball.
Speaking to Cam Holden, I think the way he plays with the tenacity to really get under players' skin. But I think he's a misunderstood guy. Absolutely gentleman.
Yeah.
Talking to him before the game, and he likes how he's playing now. He has the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's the reason probably he's in 3 of the categories in top 10 in the league.
Smith at the top of the key.
Wow.
Defense.
Yeah, good call.
Offensive foul on Kristen. And it goes back the other way. Their offense is just dried up here. Bristol. You think all those shots flying in, they made their first 5 field goals, so they had 11 points in 3 minutes, and they've had 11 points in the last 10 minutes. And they haven't made a 3 since that early flurry, 0 for 7.
Well, the reason being, Dan, Manchester have been able to stay in front, so they haven't been beat. There's been no extra pass opportunities, and they've been able to play their man and stay in front on defense.
Well, that would have been an absolutely Brilliant pass. If Simon Unsworth was playing for Manchester, but unfortunately he's refereeing. He was wide open in that spot. There's McCormack. Holden looking for 3. 8th miss in a row now from behind the arc for the Flyers.
If you're going to give anything up with Cam Holden, it's that outside 3 ball. He looked uncomfortable stepping into that one.
Smith uses his speed, nearly gets his own rebound. It will ricochet out off Walsh, and it's a Manchester ball. It's weird because it's a 3-point game, but it feels like Manchester are well on top in this game.
It does, and Bristol kind of hanging in there and staying within striking distance. Credit to them as Carey's off with the 3.
McCormack with the rebound. McCormack looking for 3, still won't go.
Nothing dropping for both teams at this moment in time.
Jones down the lane is fouled by Brody, and he'll go to the free throw line.
I'm really impressed with Max Jones going right. I mean, he's a left-handed shooter and he can pull up going either way, but when he really puts his head down going to the right, he can explode and finish. Against Newcastle, I think most of his buckets came with the right hand. There he is with the extension. Really good dexterity from Max Jones.
As rule number 3, Gabe as he takes
Substitutions both ways.
As your number 2, Max Jones, is at the line.
Jones is still waiting for his 2 free throws.
.21 points on Friday night to go with PJ Smith's 21. We're not in an era where we can mention Smith and Jones.
No,
but those are the guys that, last and very good. But those 2 guys really, along with DJ Mitchell, were the constant throughout. Tough place to go and win in Newcastle. We beat them 4 times this season.
Yeah. So Newcastle in action right now in Guildford. They are 1 point ahead at the early stages of the 4th quarter. The Eagles could really do with a win. Nice spin from McCormack, and well, they're struggling from the 3-point line, but they might get 3 points here with an and 1.
That was really nice. Had Gabe Osaboyan spun like laundry down. He put that one on his left and spun back to his right. And the concentration to finish through the contact. What a move.
Well, he had 2 nibbles at him, Osaboyan, but not enough to prevent him from getting 3 points.
Let's go, Manny, let's go.
Jones.
Still closely contested for both teams.
Jones driving into traffic. No way through.
Good defensive presence by Bristol. Walled him up there and allowed nothing to pass.
Zach Anderson in the corner, splashes a 3. Finally, Bristol get 1 to go after 8 straight misses.
Zach Anderson's second 3 ball. Told you about how good he is at spreading the floor.
Nice attack, but too strong. Brown, full speed. Brown to the rim, and Carey commits the foul.
Both of those guys, both Jonathan Brown and Cal Carey, know what it's like to get their head of steam and get out in the open court and put their head down. And Jonathan Brown, a tough cover and a very explosive guard. Cal Carey said I didn't foul, but if that was the other way, he'd have wanted that call on him.
Yeah. Well, he's coming out of the game now with Jordan Johnson checking in.
Drops in. I know you could be louder than that. You've got to be ready. Make as much noise as you can. Let's go!
2-2 for JB. Bristol, having had their struggles scoring, are back up 3. That's an illegal screen on Osaboyan, and that is going to be the second foul on him.
Well, to be fair to these referees, we do expect them to be perfect. We don't expect them to be human ever, do we, Dan?
No.
But they've made some consistent calls on that ball screen.
Yeah.
There's a lot being called, so credit to them
that was
for
a good
sticking.
call in real time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he's caught him with the knee. He's too wide in the stance.
But they've called it both ways. They had one on Nicholson earlier, then had one on Cam Christen on the handoff. So it's a call that's been made, and players need to now adjust and know what's going to be called.
Holden. Joe Anderson moving off the ball well, but not able to finish.
That's Johnson. Manages to keep hold of that Wilson Marcus Jones. At the top for Manchester basketball.
Mitchell. Smith, who's done the full loop of the court, and he's doing it again. Pass is deflected. It's away by Johnson, not quite in time, still in his hands, and it's a shot clock violation.
Really good defense by Bristol. There was a point that DJ Mitchell had a mismatch with Anderson in the block, and they quickly adjusted and rotated. Eliminated Manchester's chance to score. Really good collective defense by Bristol.
Well, they've held Manchester to only 4 points in this second quarter. And they looked in perfect rhythm in the last 6 minutes of the first quarter, Manchester, but Bristol has knocked them out of it. Here's a chance for some transition points. Irvin misses. There's a slap of the backboard. That will count.
Good call by the referee. Definitely the backboard was touched. I think it would have missed, Dan, if he'd have left it, but the defense wasn't to know. Zach Irvin once again going to the other side of the rim.
Well, in that situation, the ball has to have a chance of going in. It doesn't have to be going in.
No.
And you wouldn't have known at the point the backboard is slapped. McCormack open, opposite side, and he gets another friendly bounce for three.
Nice pass by Zach Anderson, surveying the court out of the post. Really good read.
Mitchell forcing his way to the rim and to the free throw line as Holden is called for the foul.
Well, DJ Mitchell will remember Cam Holden from Cheshire and the battles that they had. And he will meet fire with fire because Cam Holden takes no prisoners on defense. DJ Mitchell doing the right thing, going right at the body to eliminate the shot block.
Mitchell makes the front end of two.
So I think Cam Holden, only one foul so far is good. He averages 3.6 fouls per game. I think that's good enough for 6th in the league, so no, he's not doing bad so far.
No. When you get above 3.5, that means you spend a lot of time in some sort of foul trouble.
It does, but to be fair to him, he always guards one of the best scorers.
I remember there was a guy at Plymouth, I've forgotten his name now, but he was averaging 4.5 fouls a game. It was quite incredible. He basically fouled out almost every game. Here's Irvin driving three. Reverse lane doesn't go. Here's Smith in the corner. Rebound Yoakum.
I would argue that per minute foul-wise, John Tresvant has to be up there.
Yeah, Trez liked the foul. I've not seen him here. I don't know if he's here today. He's often in the house watching, former Manchester and Leicester player.
Yeah, take nothing away from him. He was an exceptional player.
Yeah, great athlete.
In his day.
Slam dunk champion. 3 years in a row, I think it was. Here's Johnson taking it to the rim. Lays it in. Well, a timeout's been called. There was some debate about Irvin and Holden being wrapped up. Irvin was trying to make some peace. Holden didn't seem too interested. But the timeout will diffuse everything. The scores are tied at 33 points apiece. And you have to say, Bristol have done a really good job from the point at which where they couldn't score. They've really managed to squeeze. They hung on to Manchester at that point, and now that they've got their offensive touch back, they're in a good spot.
Yeah, they've made some tough shots, but as we know, defence wins games, and they've been able to hang in there. They've stayed in front of Manchester defensively, and they've collectively made them take tough shots. Manchester are capable of making those, but they're not the shots that they want.
Well, we've talked a lot about Manchester and their offensive firepower. There's a potential the Flyers will keep them under 40 on their own court in the first half, and that's a good effort.
It is a good effort. And I think any team keeping Manchester within that, they have Mitchell coming into the game. Maybe Manchester just trying to find out that rhythm and see who can score best. But like you say, they have to do that pretty soon going into the playoffs.
Well, they've got 6 players between 4 and 7 points, Manchester. Flyers led by McCormack's 11. McCormack, who's been walking the tightrope on 2 fouls. I think he's going to get the last 3 minutes off. Anderson to his namesake, down low to Brody, patient with it for 2.
Yeah, a couple of pump fakes and lay up with the right hand. Nice positioning by Brody.
Smith. Mitchell. Shovels it back to Jones. Well, he misses everything, and Irving can't keep it in play.
That's a case in point. Does DJ Mitchell go? Does Max Jones go? Which one? And I think with 2 or 3 games, they're going to figure that one out, and we're going to really see an explosive Manchester team.
Zach Anderson up to Holden, back to Anderson for 3, off the mark. Johnson goes all the way and kisses it in off the glass.
How good is he at that, Dan? He somehow finds that inch of daylight to extend and shoot the ball over the defense. Always finds a way.
Holden cross court to Yoakum along the baseline. Zach Anderson now hangs in the air for 2.
Almost a replica play of Jordan Johnson's there, a little bit bigger as Anderson, but still a nice finish with the floater.
Johnson knocks it down. Kick ball by PJ Smith.
Jordan Johnson has that rare ability to turn you into a fan once again. Whenever he gets out on the court, it's really electrifying to watch, and can handle the basketball with the best of them and create his own shot, and never looks like he gets out of second gear.
Joe Anderson lobs it up. Brody with the offensive rebound. Mitchell knocks it loose. And Smith, trying to spin away from the defense, lost the ball and turned it over.
That time, for once, his handles let him down. He has that ball on a string usually, but one too many dribbles allowed Joe Anderson to be there and knock it loose.
Well, I thought McCormack might get the last 3 minutes off, but not so. He's back for the final 50 seconds.
Well, when you're the first guy in double digits at this point, you can't be on the bench for too long.
Flyers captain leading the way, 11.6 rebounds. Broken up by Smith. Smith pushing hard. Smith all the way. Oh, he had to slow himself to lay it in. Great play.
Yeah, try catch him. 2 dribbles from the midcourt and he was at the rim. Can't beat what you can't catch.
Oh, Bristol trying to take a little time here. Joe Anderson spins.
Wow.
Lays it in, basket good. Joe Anderson going to the line for a bonus.
Well, people will be watching SLB Players of the Week, and that may squeeze in there, Dan. There's not many players can keep up with both PJ Smith and Jordan Johnson, but Joe Anderson, a wizard with the basketball and extremely quick.
A little slap down from Irvin. Aditokasi is waiting to come in for Irvin. Manchester will have 15.5 seconds left to work with after this free throw.
Well, this is all we wanted, Dan.
Yeah,
tie ball
tie
game.
game.
Going into the second half.
And it remains tied as Joe Anderson hits the front of the rim. Last 10 seconds. Ball is on the floor, bit of a scramble and a chaotic ending to the half, but we are, as Jason said, tied at the interval. Manchester and Bristol have both had their spells of momentum in this game, but nothing separating them at the break. Manchester basketball 39, Bristol Flyers 39, Jason.
Yeah, really, really good score, and every neutral in the building would have wanted that high-stakes basketball game, reminding you Bristol in 6th place, Manchester currently in 2nd, so lots to play for.
Well, shooting numbers pretty similar on the top line. They've done it in a slightly different way. A few more threes for Bristol, a few more twos for Manchester. But it doesn't matter how they go in, as long as they go in. And we're all locked up at 39 in a game that both teams desperate for the win. Bristol to get themselves going back in the right direction, and Manchester to ensure they remain in outright second place at the end of the day. If we look back over some of the highlights, it was a sort of streaky shooting game. The Flyers came out hot, then they went cold, then they started making them again.
It is, and it's a lot similar to the game on Friday night for Manchester against Newcastle, but these are the games that you have to maybe win by 2 or 3 going down the stretch to just get the job done somehow and some way. And as long as you get the W in the column, doesn't really matter how pretty it is, you just got to get over the line.
Well, they did get over the line on Friday to win that one by 3. We are level here at the half, Manchester and Bristol. Jason and I will be back with second half action in a few minutes' time.
I'm nervous when it comes to games in general. Like, I never know the outcome of things. But just the potential of our team that we had. I was the young gun in the group. Like, I had like Miles Hesson, Orlan Jackman, Jamal Anderson. Like, they're all way older than me. So it's like I felt like I had a lot to. I just had a lot to prove, you know. And you know, I think the one goal, and I think we showed out really well. When the final shot dropped, you know, Miles hit that game winner. I went crazy. Like, I'm never really one to like celebrate. Like, I'm really just bland. I'm boring, monotone, whatever. I just remember getting out my seat, running up to Miles. I just gave him the fattest hug ever. I was just screaming. It was crazy. But even then, I still haven't like fathomed like what we just did, and things didn't really kick in until later on that night. It's like, I didn't take off my gold medal for like a week straight. I went to bed with my medal. I was showering my medal. I was like, I'm not letting this go. And I felt special. I felt really special. I was like, just what Ken just won a gold medal. About to play pro. It was like, life's going the right way for me, innit? So I was like, I love it. This is crazy. Like, I still couldn't believe it. It's like going from winning the medal and then going on to just like proceeding to like go on to do what you love, earning money. It's like, this is I won't say once in a lifetime opportunity. I feel like I just needed to be around my own culture. You know, I've been around Americans for 5 years, then around Germans for 3 years. I'm just like, I want to be around my people. I want to be around my friends and family. I want people to like, I want to show my friends, I want them to come support me, which I've always wanted to do. You know, just allow them to have the opportunity to see how far I've come, you know, and just put a little show for them, make sure they have a good time. I mean, that's probably what was most important for me. Most people never really see me play on domestic soil, and you know, everyone's only seeing highlights or whatever it is, and no one's really seen certain aspects of my game. For example, like I love defense, so I feel like being able to show people what I'm truly capable of it's exciting. It's exciting. I hope, you know, could put on a show for these lot and show people how much of a dog I am. I got a lot of people that look up to me, you know, even if it is outside of London, no matter where it is, you know, they're able to come watch a game down in Manchester. Like, it's always a pleasure, it's always an honor. I've never really realized how much I inspire people. Like, I've had people message me online, social media, just, you know, just saying how much they look up to me or whatever. So just having that in the back of my mind and knowing I'm capable of doing something like that, for me to be closer to home and allowing them to come, you know, make whatever comes to fruition. It's like, yeah, I love that. Just having, you know, young guys coming up, showcasing their talents, you know, friends, whoever, like guys I've hooped with in the past. I feel like it's a great opportunity for us, you know, to show everyone in and outside the league, like, us Brits have talent. Like, we can work with these guys and just prove to them we have a spot here, you know.
I mean, it has been an incredible journey. You know, looking back at it, I never thought I was going to be here for that long. I came here to study. I got involved with basketball through university, National League, and then the opportunity to coach the Flyers in September 2005. It's just incredible, and it's something that I'm very privileged to do for as many years as I've been doing it, and I never take it for granted. You know, sometimes with those things, oh, it's another season. Well, it's not. It means a lot to me. Grew up in Greece, from Athens, and I came here to study September 1999 at the University of Bath. Studied economics. It was, you know, I played basketball back home, and I wanted the opportunity to study in the UK education environment. I had a great time there. 5-6 years I was able to coach the university team there for men and women, and it's something I wasn't expecting. I came in, I remember my first experience of the sports was getting to Bath and seeing the netball post, and I didn't know what netball was because we don't play that in Greece. And I got involved in coaching straight away in my first year, and I think everything else snowballed from there. You know, I've been here for 26 years, and now I'm longer in the UK than I have when I was growing up in Greece. You know, I spent 18 years of my life there. You know, built a home here. Bristol is home for me. You know, with my wife Ursula, you know, we have built a life here, and yeah, I think it's something now that I can proudly say that I've been here longer than I've actually my time in Greece. It's always very difficult to pinpoint one specific moment. I think it's a number. I mean, our first year as Filton Flyers, I think us winning the league and winning the playoffs, I think that team is the team that started it all. So many memories, and where I have to summarize it in just, you know, a few moments. So yeah, but it's just the thing with the overall theme of this is basketball has been a vehicle for me to build a life in the UK, and I have made long-time friendships, and I always have to pinch myself almost a little bit to have the pleasure to be doing what it is. And it is a real pleasure. There's always challenges, you know, a lot of different things in terms of challenges, but I'm really grateful, deeply grateful to have the opportunity to be with the club and to be here in Bristol. I'm a humble guy, you know, I'm hardworking, and I think, you know, it's great to hear people, when they think of Bristol Flyers, they think of me. But like, all this will not happen if you don't have a number of people, sometimes, you know, on the court, off the court. So the reality is, you know, I always kind of go back to how privileged I am what I do. I'm so thankful to people for the amount of effort, some of them in volunteer capacity, all our current coaches, some of our team managers in our GM program. I'm really thankful for those people, and for everyone that has contributed to be where we are right now. And I think we will not be able to achieve that. As they say, it's strength in numbers. It's the people that you have around you. That's how you build the program. When I first started, I would not think I would still be doing it. So it's very difficult to think too far ahead. But certainly, I think we've built something special here in Bristol. And, you know, hopefully with my involvement, but also whenever the time comes when I'm not going to be involved, I want it to keep on growing and getting bigger. And certainly, I think that long-term legacy, the aspiration for the club to get as big as possible domestically and also in European competition, I think that's what really drives us, motivates us all.
Super League basketball is leveling up British youths. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.
Welcome back to Manchester, where it's a tied ball game here, 39 points to 39 points, Bristol and Manchester, and the final buzzer has just gone in Guildford and Newcastle. What a victory for them on the road. They needed a win. They got an important one there away from home, beating Surrey 94 points to 103. Two more games getting underway in a few minutes' time. In London, Sharks are in town, and in East Kilbride, Leicester are the visitors. Back to our action here. Owen McCormack, 11 points in that first half. He's been an important chunk of the offense for Bristol.
Yeah, and he was the beneficiary of Bristol's good ball movement, especially conducted by Joe Anderson. But McCormack is always ready to score, and he's a guy that can just find his spot at the right time, and he's taking advantage of the defense.
Well, they could do with some more of that in the second half for sure. As I say, Bristol looking for a first victory since they beat Sheffield. When was that? It was the 22nd of February, so it was just before the international break. And they've not tasted victory since. They've had a couple of beatdowns as well in that time, so they really do need to get things going back in the right direction. But they're in a good spot here at halftime. But as we saw on Friday night, Manchester played really well in the second half to eke out a win up in Newcastle.
They did, and I would argue that that's Manchester's best victory of the season when they looked like they were losing, but it looks like they're going to be up against a similar situation here. Every game becomes more important as you go into the business end of the year. But Bristol are holding firm right now, and it doesn't look like they're going anywhere, so it could be a similar style game.
Well, they really did a good job in that second quarter defensively, I thought, the Flyers. That was what pulled them back in. They kept Manchester to, I think it was 4 points in the first 5 minutes, and that got them a foothold into the game.
Yeah, and two different styles of play. I would say Bristol in the half court really look to play off the advantage. If they can beat that first defender with Joe Anderson, then they look to spread the floor and make the extra passes, whereas Manchester tend to possibly go one-on-one earlier than that. So it's can you stop your guy on both ends, really, to eliminate how the style of play of both teams is successful.
Well, the 2-5s making their way out onto court. It'll be a Manchester possession to start us off.
Zach Irving just in front of us. He's Michigan Wolverines, won the Final Four, so he'll be happy.
Lobbed inside to Jones. Couldn't quite get it out to Irvin. Bristol able to smuggle it away. Kristen on the trail, kicks it out. Here's McCormack looking for three. Irvin lays it home.
Nice play by Zach Irvin there. He knew he had the smaller Joe Anderson with him. Joe Anderson grimacing a little bit. He went down on that play.
Zach Anderson spins back to the middle, kicks it out. Ball moves out to Joe Anderson in the corner. Great follow from Will Yoakum to tip it home.
Wow, no one saw him coming. Give that man a cape as he flew in from the weak side. Nice tip by Will Yoakum.
Jones spinning off the mark.
Good defense by Yoakum there as well. Back-to-back good plays.
Yoakum to the runner, he's good.
Wow, and in this last minute, where there's a will, there's a way. He's had 2 buckets on a trot and a stop at the other end. Will Yoakum applying the pressure early for Bristol.
Smith. Out to Cassie. Spinning one way, the other. Back again. Shot clock getting low. Smith out to Adita Cassie. Had to rearrange that one. It's going to be a shot clock violation.
Joe Anderson pumps his fist at the extra defensive pressure. Contested that jump shot really well. And Manchester look out of sorts to start, just as they did in the first half.
Well, they had to call a timeout 3 minutes into the game. Might have to do something similar here in the second half. Anderson with the freedom of the court, time to bounce it.
I know, very rare do you see that.
Smith. Poked loose by Kristen, who didn't realise that he'd knocked it loose. He was probably the closest player to it, but he was guarding his man and didn't see it. It'll be a hell ball, which means Bristol will get it back.
Good hustle by Zach Anderson there, but yeah, very rarely do you see, Dan, a guy that has the chance to catch the ball, bounce it, then go into his jump shot.
Yeah.
I think it bemused both of us.
The other thing is that you don't shoot like that normally, so whether it put him off a little bit as well, I don't know.
I think you can be too open as a shooter as well. Nothing worse than guys just leaving you.
Yeah. Well, it's usually a defensive breakdown if they left you, Jason. I think it might be a deliberate tactic if they left me open. Here's Anderson driving in. Oh, it's fallen into the hands of Zach Anderson. Yoakum, travel.
Yeah, good defense by Osaboyan, but going back, there is nothing worse to hear than some guy saying, let him shoot.
Let him shoot, yeah. Jones shovels it over to Smith. Ossaboyan. Jones for three. Halfway down but out. Irving gets a hand on it. Jones taking it back. Offensive foul is the call.
Yeah, and good tip by Zach Irving, but as Jones put that ball on the floor, there was only one outcome. As Owen McCormack had good legal guarding position and drew the offensive foul. Nice play by the captain of Bristol. So a really good start by Bristol, Dan. Coach Kapoulis will be more than happy of these first 3 minutes of the second half.
Well, Manchester have only scored once. Bristol have only scored twice, to be fair, but they've looked more likely, and there's another score.
Let's go, Manny, let's go. Let's go, Manny.
Mitchell. Johnson. Johnson drives, trying to draw a foul, and misses the layup as a result. It's going to stay Manchester ball.
How well has McCormack played that at the back? He's the biggest guy on the floor. He's one of the really good three-point shooters. But whenever you put the ball on the floor, he seems to be there, and he always seems to either have good position or go straight up, as you can see there. Could have easily picked up a foul.
Well, some discussion between the officials. Not 100% sure why, because they clearly thought it was a Manchester ball. It couldn't have reset the clock, so that's not a great pass. That's an even worse one, because here's Joe Anderson running the floor, but he's wiped out by Ossaboyan. But there's Joachim to lay it home.
Wow, it came to nothing, but what a play by Ossaboyan, catching that ball at basically its apex.
Johnson driving quick. This time he'll get to the line. I think it says something about Gabe Ossaboyan that he's made a massive block like that, and the look on his face was just sheer frustration that they've scored.
Yeah.
And there'd be some guys who would be flexing after a block. I've got a great block, but he's gone, oh no, they've scored. He went back for another block, but you can just see he's just frustrated, and that tells you how committed he is to winning the game as opposed to getting excited by a big play.
Yeah, and many players would have been thinking that can be on social media as he got it, you know, off the glass. But, you know, speaking to Coach Otten before the game, he was so enthused about Gabe Ossaboyan. There's been times where he's wanted to put him in the game, and then he said, no, I'll stay on the bench, Coach. The guys are playing really well, and I think that's a luxury to have on any team as Joachim fires that three right down the middle.
He's continued his hot start to the second half. Johnson at the top of the key for two.
Yeah, stops the bleeding. Nothing rattles Johnson as he cuts it back to 6.
Zach Anderson spinning. Nice finish.
That was really good. How much ground did he cover?
It was a big old step, wasn't it? Here's Ossaboyan. Mitchell for three, hand in his face, misses everything, and that goes straight out of bounds for a Flyers ball. And all this Manchester offense we've been talking about, once again, they're midway through the quarter. They've only got 5 points.
Yeah, and this is the learning process where they have to balance it out. But, you know, Manchester, they've always come back when they've been punched, so expect them to go on their run anytime soon.
Joachim gives it on to Anderson off the mark. Mitchell with the rebound. Mitchell taking it hard, but leaving it short. Gets his own rebound, and I think Kristen got him on the way up.
I would argue that DJ Mitchell has matured in the time he's been off, because we saw him as a really good scorer before, but that was poise in the open court. Really took his time, sized the defense up, knew that he had a mismatch. Helps that he can handle the ball on the break at his size, but really picked the right option on both of those plays.
Well, the third foul on Cam Christian has sent Mitchell to the line. Manchester trying to eat into this 8-point deficit.
not a fashion expert, Dan, but I love those shoes he's wearing. Jarmarant 12s, I think, in my expert knowledge of sneakers.
Well, you've got far more expertise in that area than I do, Jason, so I'll defer to you on that.
I'm not sure it's essential to become the commentator you've been, Dan, you know.
Well, I haven't got a spreadsheet of shoes, unfortunately. It's a gap in my extensive Excel. It's stolen away by Johnson. Driving hard, rejected by McCormack. Joe Anderson to Yoakum. Goes through the contact, and the foul will send him to the line. Bristol looking very, very sharp here in the third quarter.
Well, I owe them an apology because I said they were a half-court team, and they've just proved differently on these last few plays. They've been an absolute blur as Owen McCormack says, get that shot out of here, and here comes Joe Anderson and the feed to Yoakum. And I think before he knew it, Gabe Osaboyan had picked up that foul. Didn't really have time to react.
His third personal foul, so he will sit down. McCormack's going to get a breather as well. Brody returns. Nicholson's going to come in for Smith. You don't see a 1-5 substitution too often.
Definitely changes the dynamic of Manchester's offense and defense.
Well, Yoakum's been great in this third quarter. He's now Bristol's leading scorer with 15 points.
I do love his energy, love how he plays without the basketball in his hands, which is always nice to have on the team. He's unselfish, very productive when going to try and score.
Well, it's Manchester who needs some production when it comes to scoring right now. Here's Mitchell. Spinning, attacks, is fouled by Holden.
Well, Holden's a good defensive player, but he has his hands full. And he's moving to that 3.6 fouls on average as he picks up his second, but DJ Mitchell's such a tough cover.
He's back at the line to shoot two.
Well, a long way short on the first one. 15-7 in this third quarter. It's the 7 that's the worry for Manchester. And then tick it up to 8.
Defense! Defense!
Anderson. Holden. Yoakum gets it back, a little give and go. Got to shoot it. Holden gets it away. Irvin with the rebound.
Let's go, Manny, let's go.
Johnson has the speed mismatch here.
Step back three coming.
Oh, he takes it into the key instead.
Never mind me, Jordan Johnson. I'll show you all the other moves I have.
Anderson. Out to Yoakum for 3. And he just continues to fill it up in this quarter.
Well, I wondered why he didn't shoot the previous one and knew when he caught that basketball it was going up in the air, but he's on fire.
Nice attack, Jordan Johnson for 2.
Defense! Defense! 6-point leads for the Flyers.
Here's Zach Anderson.
Steps inside.
Knocked away by Nicholson.
Mitchell now has down the Brent.
Mitchell. Spinning.
Mitchell goes up high.
Little flat, but enough to get it over the rim.
DJ Mitchell still in attack mode after missing a couple of shots earlier on. Really knows his worth and keeps applying the pressure. Bristol trying to run their set offense.
Just get it to Yoakum, I think, is the answer at the minute. Yoakum has 16 points in this quarter. Here's Mitchell underneath, and the foul is called.
Nice read by Jordan Johnson. Mitchell had the mismatch, and Anderson under the bucket was at his mercy, but a nice find by Jordan Johnson. So Manchester have responded well, Dan. And they've hung on in there because Bristol have been on fire, and they'll be pleased to see Yoakum going out of this game.
He's got 19 in total. He had 3 at half-time, Will Yoakum.
Well, I asked him before the game if he'd give me one of those dunks that he's famous for. He's done everything but that.
Yeah, he's given you 19, but no dunks yet.
Can't complain.
Well, Manchester cut it back down to 2. Here's Walsh and Brown fresh into the game. Holden trying to lob it into Brody, but it's broken up.
Let's go, Manny, let's go.
Step back 3.
Yeah, the call
foul
was on
off the ball. Yeah, it was on Walsh.
That's where the scouting reporters come in. Bristol know that Nicholson hangs around a little bit on those ball screens, and can they get a foul called on him? So Evan Walsh was probably hanging on for dear life at that point.
It's a great reaction from Coach Kapoulis. Yeah, it's a bit of a rugby tackle, isn't it?
Yeah, all over him like a cheap suit.
Andreas was like, why is that 2 shots? Why is that 2 shots? Then he looked up at the big scoreboard and he saw 5 fouls for the team in the quarter, and he went, all right, my mistake.
Yeah. After at least admiring for saying my mistake. Some guys don't. I've loved to see how Andreas Kapoulis' coaching has gone over the years. Started off with the Bristol Flyers in the lower leagues and just kept creeping up,
Had their 20th anniversary, 20 years of Flyers basketball. He's been there since the beginning.
Well, we have a barnstormer here so far. 56 plays 57. It's going to be a really, really good fourth quarter.
Well, again, it's another one where the quarter might end up dead even, but it's not been played dead even. It was started out with the Flyers playing really well, and Manchester have come back into it.
Yeah, and both teams have had their times defensively as well, where they've not shot the ball well at the other end, but they've really played some gritty basketball on the defensive end.
Walsh to Brown. Drops it off to Brody. Brody surrounded by Manchester players, and the foul is called.
It's one of those ones where we're probably going to see the replay and someone lent their arms over at the last point. It looked like Manchester had him. Easier said than done when number 51 is trying to take the ball up. Yeah, there it is, the leaning by. I think it was Zach Irving.
Brody misses the front end. Second one is good, doubles the Flyers lead.
Second one good for Brody. Manchester.
Johnson into the key, and again he's had a big quarter as well.
How does he create that space, Dan? In and amongst the trees, and always gets a solid look at the rim.
Holden loses the ball. Johnson has it. Johnson running it back. Had to go high to beat the block from Brown for 2.
Wow, it's the only place he could put the ball on the backboard as Brown was chasing that one down, and what a finish by Jordan Johnson.
And a timeout has been called by Coach Kapoulis. 49.8 seconds to go. And they are now down by 2 because of Jordan Johnson. He's really dragged them back in the last few minutes. And you don't often want to use the timeout at this point where there's only a few plays left before the quarter break, but he's felt he's needed to stop this run.
Yeah, usually they let their teams play through the coaches, but every play is magnified here. And you would say there hasn't been much swing in terms of, I think Bristol nearly got up double digits at one point in the third. But apart from that, it's been basket for basket all the way.
9 points for Jordan Johnson in this quarter. He's the joint leading scorer alongside Yoakum with 19. And they both had big third quarters. And this one's still very much in the balance at 60 to 58. Well, 16, well, you don't often see that. Some guy scores 9 in a quarter and he's been well outscored by an opponent. 16 points, 16 to 9 is not far off a quarter score, and yet it's just 3 players. Holden, double team comes, he needs some help. Zach Anderson. Well, they can't quite get hold of the ball here, Bristol. Holden to Walsh. Walsh into the key, flips it up, it's good.
Smart play by Evan Walsh. It was a bad pass originally by Cam Holden to Zach Anderson. But Evan Walsh bails them out.
Shelton underneath got slapped on the arm. I think it was Holden. It could well have been Anderson. It is number 7 that's shown to the table. That'll be the 3rd on Cam Holden.
Well, let's hope for Bristol fans that it wasn't Holden, but it was, as he picks up number 3. But you would have preferred that one to have been on Zach Anderson. Often think when a guy commits that many fouls a game, 3.6, how intelligent must he be to stay in there with those fouls? It's not like he's playing anyone who can't score. He always has to guard one of the main scorers on the other team. So, a fair play to Cam Holden.
Shot clock is off. Bristol can tie it up here with a final score. Brown takes it in, blocked by Irvin. Charging foul is called as Shelton takes the stand. Well, the Manchester bench loving that. Particularly Gabe Ossaboyan, who knows a thing or two about taking a charge.
Yeah, he's been probably giving Duke Shelton some lessons there.
Well, that'll do it for the third quarter. 23-21 in that period, so only 2 points shifted in terms of the overall scoreline, but an awful lot went on in that 10 minutes, Jason.
Sure did, but you can see the respect for both teams. Manchester are ecstatic to be up by 2 at this point when coming into the game. They may have wanted it to be a little more comfortable, but they are going to the bench thinking, yes, we have a 2-point lead, and that is what we've got to look forward to in this fourth quarter as you see the stats.
They've both made the same number of field goals in this game. Manchester winning the battle of the boards, and that might be a decisive thing down the stretch. The other thing, Manchester got to the line a lot more than Bristol in this game.
They have, and they've been attacking the glass a lot more. You see 29 rebounds against 21. That is the little subtle difference at this point, but the only score that matters is the 62 plays 60.
Well, still 10 minutes to go in a game that both teams could really use the win in as we close out the season number 2 in Super League basketball. And battle for playoff seedings. We've guaranteed our top 8 for the playoffs. It's just a question of the order Manchester trying to get the #2 seed. Bristol, well, they're in that morass of teams that could go anyway.
DJ Mitchell just walking across to us. He's admiring the half-court shot at the end of the third quarter by a fan.
I'm not sure, admiring would be the...
But I just saw him laughing, and I think it just proves that basketball is not an easy sport to play. It's not one of those games where you can say, I'll just give it a go.
Yeah. Needs some work. More on the legs is always the advice. Shooting's about the legs, not the arms. Here's Manchester getting us underway. Smith out to Mitchell. Great rebound by Shelton, he puts it back.
Has he done a good job in these last 2 minutes? A charge, a stick back. Duke Shelton doing a little bit of everything in this limited time he has.
Now Manchester lead by 4. Brown. Brown fires up the 3 and hits the bottom of the net.
That was a tough shot over the outstretched hands of DJ Mitchell. Expect DJ to go right back at the defense.
Here is Mitchell. Offensive foul as he knocks Walsh to the floor.
Smart play by Evan Walsh. Did go down easily and sold it, but fair play to him. He's in legal guarding position.
He knew it was coming and got his body in the right place. And Flyers can regain the lead. Anderson out to the other one, Zach. Zach hits the 3, Flyers on top.
Wow, Anderson to Henderson. And how quick is Joe Anderson off that ball screen? Not many as quick as him within the SLB.
Mitchell spinning, too strong. Irving on the glass, but he can't tip it home. Zach Anderson.
Had a notion to shoot the ball
did,
there.
Yeah. Oh, it's stolen away by Irving. Can he keep it in play? Yes, he still has it to the rim, but misses. Brown going quick, pass deflected, and will be a Flyers ball.
Tough break from Zach Irving. He played it well defensively, and it just got out of his reach on the handle, and he was unable to score at the other end. But this is a dangerous time. You can sense Manchester are slightly on the ropes here as Bristol are gaining momentum. And you have that feeling that they can go on another run here.
34-15, the bench score. We talked about the depth that Manchester have. It's shown it today. Here's McCormack, long way short. Manchester will let it go out of bounds.
Well, that sums up the game. Expect the unexpected. Owen McCormack wide open and shoots an air ball. Everything you would have thought was going to happen hasn't, so I guess that's good going down the stretch.
Well, Manchester with a chance to level the scores again. Johnson. Little step away to create some room.
He's a master of inches, Dan. He can create his own shot in any kind of space.
Joe Anderson going quick and lays it right back in.
Wow.
Manchester quickly the other way. Smith for 3, misses. Rebound Zach Anderson. Brown open for another 3 and hits again. Second 3 of the quarter for Jonathan Brown. Manchester with a timeout, down 5.
Well, you love the confidence of Jonathan Brown, but Joe Anderson saw that the whole way. Knew he'd made one earlier on the wing, gives it right back to him. Jonathan Brown is on fire, and Bristol Flyers are rolling.
Well, Bristol Another good start. It feels like, I think every quarter Bristol have started the quarter better, and Manchester have had ground to make up.
This one, however, feels a little bit different. You know, Bristol are really, really in tune with each other offensively. And Manchester, they did it in Newcastle. Can they come back and do it again?
Wow, some really good looks when you watch the highlights here from this first 3 minutes for Bristol, and they've knocked them down just as they did at the start of the game. We're hitting threes and opened up a comfortable lead. They've started 11-4 here. I think it was 11-4 in the first quarter when Coach Houghton called a timeout. Basically at this point, might have been a couple of seconds more played. Manchester replied that time. Can Bristol keep them at bay this time around?
Bristol staying in that man-to-man defense. Served them well so far.
Shelton. Jones. Out to Aditokasi in the corner. He loves that spot. And he's so effective knocking those corner threes down.
Good read by Max Jones as he turned the corner. Could have forced the jump shot, but makes a really, really good pass with his right hand. And Tim Aditokasi locked and loaded. And like you say, he loves that corner.
Well, the shot clock didn't reset, which gives us a chance to have another look at Aditokasi's corner three. Well, it's only gone on the board as a 2.
If that's so, that's twice he's toed the line. He did one in the first half where I'm not sure it was close. He probably loses a few toes. That's a 3.
Brown drops it off to Delpesh. Delpesh misses the rim from close range. Not seeing much of Delpesh today. Jones, top of the key, does well to draw iron, and Zach Anderson will let it go out of bounds.
Well, those are shots down the stretch that Manchester usually makes, and it gives you the feeling of, is it their day or not? Bristol are in a really good position to take advantage if they can get a couple of stops and a couple of scores here.
I'm sure the fans back in Bristol will be hoping they can see it over the line. I think those fans down the road in Ellesmere Port will be hoping likewise. Johnson lobs it up too high for Shelton to get to.
Speaking of those fans in Ellesmere Port and that team, Quincy Radeau is in the building watching this one. He'll be more than happy if Manchester can get beaten.
I didn't spot him there, Jason. Good eyes.
Vision of a point guard, not the skills, but the vision.
Is Joe Anderson off the mark. Johnson to 3, knocks it down. Jordan Johnson, big second half for him.
Well, the bigger the moment, the bigger he is. And he scores when it matters, ties the ball game with 5 minutes and change remaining. Big time shot by Jordan Johnson.
Anderson. Brown puts it on the floor, past Jones to the basket. Offensive foul, there's Shelton again, taking another charge.
Duke Shelton, maybe on those European trips, he shared a room with Gabe Ossaboyan and they had a lot of talks because he's come in and drawn 2 offensive fouls, and really good defensive play by Duke Shelton. He's quietly putting himself a nice game together.
Let's go, Manny, let's go.
Johnson. Manchester looking to regain the lead. Kicked out to the corner. Aditokasi for another one.
Great pass by Jordan Johnson. He had a mismatch on defense, but Aditokasi knocked one down from the corner. Now knocks one down from the other side. A good read by Jordan Johnson. That's why He has those 5.8 assists this year.
Well, a holding foul called against Duke Shelton as McCormack was trying to slip down the lane. I was wondering at what point Will Yoakum was going to check back into the game. Here he comes. He had that big quarter, but added to Cassie. That one was definitely worth 3. Joe Anderson. McCormack. Joe Anderson to tie it. Off the mark. Yoakum able to get the rebound. And he moves off the ball well and gets the pass back from McCormack for 2.
Well, he hasn't wasted any time. Was in there probably 10 seconds and went right back to work. He's the first guy on 21 points for Bristol.
Johnson. Oh, the pass. Just too much zip for Shelton to pull in. He was open underneath.
Well, we are poised here, Dan, for a really good last 4 minutes.
Which of these teams can hold their nerve and execute down the stretch? Anderson. Out to McCormack, open for 3. Off the back of the rim, Johnson will chase it down. Johnson knocked away by Anderson. And that will be his second foul, I think? Third foul, sorry.
Well, the margin of error is very small, and when I say error, McCormack had a really good makeable look from 3, misses it, and then Manchester go the other direction. Could be a 5-point swing here.
Johnson, nice pass. Oh, but what a denial by McCormack. McCormack running the floor, shovels it off to Yoakum. Oh, he misses. McCormack with the putback.
Wow, McCormack is all over, guarding the ball, then blocking the shot. The offensive rebound at the other end. Wow.
Putting a captain shift in here, Owen McCormack. Putting the Flyers back up by 1 with 3 to play. Johnson rattles out for 3. McCormack again on the glass. Johnson begging for a foul. Did look like there was some contact, to be fair. Here's Anderson for 3. He does get a foul. And Coach Houghton is like, what is the difference between what happened to Jordan Johnson and what happened to Joe Anderson?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is you cannot not call that just because you didn't call that.
Yeah, true,
and Smith Jr., that was definitely a foul in any league, but at the other end, it looked quite similar as Jordan Johnson was flattened in the same kind of way, but that one is definitely a foul.
He's gone under the screen and then jumped out at him. And Anderson has landed on him. But in some leagues, they call that unsportsmanlike.
All came into play really after the Kawhi Leonard incident with Pachulia that year in Golden State against San Antonio when Kawhi Leonard went down and turned his ankle. Ever since then, there seems to be a premium on landing in the airspace of the shooter. I often wonder who's in the best position right here, because yes, Bristol are up, but Manchester are used to winning in these situations. Bristol have come out on the wrong end of these games in the last 5. Manchester winning 5 out of 6 recently.
Well, Bristol have a cushion here of 2 possessions with 2:30 to go. Smith looking for 3. Oh, he's going to get a 4-point play and a chance to tie it.
And I would argue that that is a make-up one for the last one that Jordan Johnson missed. As Joe Anderson said, I didn't touch him, but how well did Smith curl? I bet he practices that time and time again.
Yeah, he just seemed to catch him on the side of the head. Didn't have any impact on the ball going through the net.
Give Manchester some credit. They do not die. This is a team that fights till the end of any game. They are never out and can always be counted to bring that energy in the last 2 minutes.
Well, I said Bristol had the cushion of 2 possessions, but it turned out to only be 1 because it's now tied. Joe Anderson. Defense the cry from the home fans. Defense from Irvin to knock it loose. And it'll be a Bristol ball with 8 on the shot clock.
Enough time to get a good look, enough time for Will Yoakum to possibly come off the screen, take a couple of dribbles and get a good looking shot. Watch McCormack try screen away for Yoakum on this out of bounds play.
Right, it's into McCormack. Joe Anderson. Out to Zach Anderson for 3. Off the mark, Shelton with the rebound.
Manchester dodge a bullet, dynamite scorer Zach Anderson is off. Here come Manchester basketball.
2 minutes to play. Smith stumbling, gets it out to Johnson. Smith is slow to his feet. The chance to run here for Yoakum, and he has Christian with him. Christian through the contact and 1. Cam Christian will go to the line for a bonus free throw.
And the worst news is PJ Smith hit the deck and it looks like he landed on his shoulder. Not the type of guy to grimace. I hope he's okay. But going the other way, what a finish by Cam Christian for the old-fashioned chance to get a three-point play.
Well, Mitchell has come in for Irvin. As you say, Smith has been just working that shoulder.
It's definitely uncomfortable. If you're Joe Anderson, do you give him the chance to have an open 3 and test that?
Yeah. It's a risk. Kristen pushes the Bristol lead back to 3. 100 seconds now left. Johnson into the key, under pressure, loses it. Bristol, can they keep it in? No, it's thrown straight to Johnson. Here's Smith for 3. Oh, halfway down. What a follow, though, from Adatu Cassie.
Manchester hanging on in there. Adatu Cassie with the step back. Looks like that shoulder's okay for PJ Smith.
Foul on the screen against Manchester, so it's going to be 2 shots because that's their 5th of the quarter. It's on Adatu Cassie. So Zach Anderson will go to the free throw line for 2. Shooting 75% on the season. Needs 2 here, doesn't get the first.
Okay, we got Rocket Hats coming up in Jones again. Everybody in the building, let's go!
Doesn't go. Does go, sorry, the second one.
Let's go, Manny, let's go!
So it's a 2-point Bristol lead. Johnson, Mitchell puts it on the floor, lobs it up, kick back out to Johnson, relocates for the corner 3, misses. McCormack with the rebound, Bristol with the ball and the lead into the final minutes. Anderson dancing along the sideline. 6 now on the clock for Joe Anderson. Joe Anderson, big shot for 3, misses, rebound Mitchell. Foul is called. McCormack thumbs up to the referee. They had a foul to give.
Smart play by McCormack as they'll take it out on the side, but that would have potentially won the ball game with Joe Anderson. He had a good look, and a timeout is called and gives us all a chance to breathe, but would you believe it? Bristol Flyers are in a commanding position if they can get a stop right here.
Well, it was a great opportunity. It was a good foul.
I would argue that's more of an unsportsmanlike foul than in the
one they
first
called
half.
in the first half. Yeah. Well, the second chance points feel like they've been really big. Feels like there's been more than 19 second chance points in the game because there's been some huge offensive rebounds in this 4th quarter with putbacks. But 35 seconds to go, Jason. Obviously, Manchester have a lot of 3-point shooters, so they could try and win or take the lead at least. But lots of points in the paint, so the opportunity to go to the rim as well.
Yeah, and the opportunity of having some more time here as overtime looks like a possibility. These teams have not really given anything, both have been in real contention even when they've not played well. So can Manchester find a bucket and then make Bristol come back at them? But I wouldn't be surprised if we have some OT. I would think you put the ball in the hands of Jordan Johnson and a steady diet of him and Mitchell playing ball screen at the top of the key. See if Jordan Johnson can get a mismatch and go a bigger player. See what they come up with.
Well, it's into Mitchell and on to Johnson. Only 14 seconds because they advanced the ball. Here's DJ Mitchell trying to create space, drives in, throws it up, offensive foul, Cam Christen taking the charge, what a play with 23 seconds to go.
Yeah, not panic stations yet, still plenty of time for Manchester, but they need to foul and now put players on the free throw line. But a great play by Cam Christen. How many times have we seen charges change this game
today? Well, Bristol, they're in that position now where you make your free throws, you should win the game.
Yeah, double teaming Joe Anderson. Easier said than done to keep the ball out of his hands. Here he is.
Well, they're going to try and force a turnover, and they have. Oh no, Christen caught it. Well, it looked at first, even McCormack has his head in his hands. When he threw that pass, it looked like it was over the top of Christen. But Cam Christen able to haul it in and will go to the line. He's only missed 2 free throws since he's joined the Flyers, 16 of 18 coming in.
I know you don't believe in the commentators' jinx, but it may happen right here. Let's see if it's true or not. There we go, Dan. Yeah, that pass by Owen McCormack was like a throw-in at a football match.
Yeah.
He really put some mustard on that one. Can Cam Christen hold his nerve? Still will be a one-shot game, you would think, no matter what.
He makes the second. Manchester are going to use their last timeout. And this is an interesting situation here because you're down by 3. So it's that how much clock are you willing to burn on the assumption that you tie the game? Because what you don't want to do is give them too much clock to win it. But if you end up with a 2 or you miss and you need an offensive rebound, you need a bit of clock to work with.
I think the thing that you just said last is the most important thing. It doesn't come into play because she can advance the ball, which will give you a better look in the half court. Because like you say, if you miss, you still have a chance to have an offensive rebound. So the 16.7 and the 14 seconds don't really come into play. Advance the basketball, get a good look, even if it's a 2, and then make Bristol shoot some free throws at the other end. However, the dream scenario for Manchester would be a wide open 3.
Yeah, but even if they get that, you should be enough time for Bristol to come the other way. And Coach Kapoulis has 2 timeouts still in his pocket, so he will be able to advance the ball no matter how long is left. But Bristol essentially one stop away from a win here, a much needed win. It's into DJ Mitchell. Mitchell to tie it, misses. Rebound Joachim, gets it away to Anderson. They need a foul. They need a foul. Well, they're going to let it go, Manchester. And Bristol are going to bring their losing streak to an end. A much-needed win for the Flyers. A tremendous performance to beat the Manchester basketball 83 points to 80.
Well, these Cheshire players that have come in here to watch this one, LaQuincy Rideau sits in the crowd and he is all smiles because that is a huge loss in terms of the championship race. Manchester have let one go here, but Bristol Flyers, what a game.
Well, there were moments where they had to hang on, where things weren't going their way, but they did at the defensive end hang on into the game. And then when it came back their way, I'm thinking Joachim in the 3rd quarter, the 3s they made at the beginning of the 4th quarter with Brown and was it McCormack? they got that momentum, they got that lead, and they were able to make the plays down the stretch.
What a huge performance, but Will Yoakum was huge, 21 points. Sat out a lot of the fourth quarter, surprisingly. But he just got them going. It was the start they made at the beginning of the first half and the beginning of the second that gave them that belief.
Well, Bristol back to winning ways, and you can see how much they enjoy that, and their fans behind the bench as well. He's made the trip up here on a Sunday afternoon, applauding them, and very, very much needed as far as the Flyers are concerned. And for Manchester, well, as you say, the question now brings Cheshire back into the mix in that battle for second. They had an opportunity to open up a little bit of space, but not been taken. And just a sensational game of basketball, Jason. Thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, it's had everything and the unexpected, to be fair, and it's what you want as a neutral coming to a basketball game. Is everything surprises you, and both teams highly contesting on the defensive end. That's why the score has been, well, it was low for 3 quarters, but then they got going, and Bristol Flyers, credit them, they didn't get punched and they didn't stay down. And in 6th position, they have got that win that may take them into 5th.
Well, that's the interesting thing. There's so much can go up or down in that little middle pack of the table, and Bristol were sliding further down into it, so they had to bring that run to an end, and they followed up a good performance where they couldn't quite get over the line with an even better one where they did. So here's how things are in the weekend. We've got a victory for Newcastle earlier, a victory for Bristol, London up 20 against Sheffield, and Leicester, they need a win as well on the road against Caledonia and winning by 7. You can watch those games. They're both live now on DAZN, but Jason and I will call it an evening. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Super League basketball is leveling up British hoops. This isn't just a league, it's a movement you can feel and see in the stands. From the first tip to the final buzzer, the story is written. Every drive, every shot, and every moment. Rivalries run deeper, games hit harder. One pass, one dunk, everything can shift. Legacies aren't given here, they're earned. New stories are ready, and new champions are coming. Season 2 is here. Stand tall for British basketball.